Sagittarius.
Hello Sagittarius, and Happy New Year. This is your January forecast for 2014. And this year is going to be quite potent, and when it comes to your financial situation. Starting off here January, which we will be doing the whole year forecast on a separate video. But here New Year's Eve, we have the Sun, Mercury, the new moon, Pluto, and Venus retrograde, all in this house as a stellium in your income house. So yes, it's really going to be put on the map, how it's going to come together, how it's going to work for you. And the whole news here for you in January is that it has the potential to transform the way you look at money, the way you make money, the way you attract money, the way you use money. And every new year, we all have our vows for the entire year, but here it's a double whammy because the new moon is here with the Sun today on New Year's Eve. And so that gives you not just the potential to put your intentions for this month, but the entire year with Pluto that is actually here empowering it strongly and precisely. There may be a situation where you're going to come to see the larger picture of how you can transform this area of your life. So January is going to probably want to become one of the most potent months of the entire year for you because it has to do with your feeling of security. Now, the second house is not just money, how we attract it, how we spend it, but it's also the house of self-worth. Pluto right now has been working on this area for a long time and creating, yes, some challenges for some of you Sagittarians, but now as the focus is on it, that's much stronger. Plus having Venus here. Venus rules this house. Venus rules love and romance, of course, but it also rules the feeling of self-worth. And so it being retrograde is giving you a longer extended stay in this area so you can have time to figure it out, what it means to you, how you can tweak it, how you can grow it. And so, yes, I have to say, you're going to feel this month pretty strong. And also because there is a couple of challenges coming to this stellium. Not only do we have the Sun and Pluto, which is very powerful, that is your point of transformation. So that in itself is good. It will probably allow you to kind of change that exoskeleton that you have, where we can peel off layer by layer and get into the core, into the meat, into the juice of things, that inner self that is really now, I won't say crying to reach out, but it is in some way because it's felt so intently. But it's being challenged here from Uranus and Mars too. Mars is your drive, your action, wanting to expand, reach out. That is coming from your 11th house. So that has to do with hopes, dreams, visions, right? So that's where your desire is. That's Mars. Your ambitions, your goals, and your drive. And the other side is being opposed by Uranus from the 5th house. And the 5th house is things you love to do when you have time off. It's your self-expression as far as creativity. It is also your creative projects. And so maybe Uranus here, which it has been a little topsy-turvy, that's what we always can expect with Uranus, because you just never know. This planet is the only planet that you know, orbits around its axis the opposite way. So there's a rebellion there. It wants to shake things up and loosen things up. What doesn't work, Uranus will eliminate. It will separate from. But at the same time, what Uranus does is brings in new action, excitement, you know, the unpredictable. It's the unconventional. It's the new you. So you're here in this creative house wanting to renew yourself and bring about change, which Uranus represents. But Mars is up here saying, oh, I need it now. Mars is feisty. It's feeling a little, perhaps, wanting to get on with things. It's impatient, and it can be at a point where it expresses itself a little bit too feisty as well. But it's because this Uranian energy gives it perhaps the sense of unpredictability. So a little bit careful here, just as you cross over into the new year, those first few days when this opposition not only is going to be exact, but it's going to be squaring down to that stellium in the second house of values and money and so forth. So there's going to be this real big tug of war. And of course, what we also have on the opposite end here is Jupiter too in the 8th house. So actually we have like this grand square trying to form, and you might be feeling like you're pulled in a few directions, but let's figure it out. How can you use this to your advantage? How can you grow positively from this and take the kernels of truth and insight from it and make it work? Let's start top of the month. January 1st, the Sun and Pluto conjunct. That's the power of transformation. We have the Sun square Mars. Mars is being feisty and antsy, wanting to get on with things, wanting to break free from whatever restrictions. And it's having that help from Uranus, which is opposing Mars. That's on the 3rd. Okay, so you're going to see those first 3 days like turning around here. But Mercury with good talks with Saturn, Mercury's communication, it's in your 2nd house for income, Saturn being in the 12th house. So listen to the 12th house, which is your subconsciousness. There is some karmic residue here. And now Saturn's trying to restructure, showing you ways how to lift up and out of the rut, up and out from those patterns that has been holding you, pressuring the 2nd house of income, whether that's pressure on yourself or have been coming from external circumstances. Only you will know, because that's all dependent on what's in your birth chart, and we can't see that from here. But Saturn here now is finding a doorway which now can start communicating outwardly, and Mercury is liking it. Why? Because it is conjunct with Venus. Now Venus is still retrograde. However, though, Venus is coming back to this very spot, so it can open up a key, a new door, a new insight to that 12th house of karmic responsibilities, and showing you that, yes, your financial situation can expand, it can grow. Venus in this area, it rules this house, so it's going to be there helpful to you, okay, showing how you can become empowered, take control, not be the victim of circumstances, which at times Saturn in the 12th house might like to think that it may be, because there has been a lot of external reality in your day-to-day life, feeling the pressure of it. But Venus is going to say you're not a victim, you have choices. And in this, the choices has the power to create and turn this around for you, that point of transformation in which Pluto represents here, okay? And Pluto's having this support from Mercury, the new moon, and the sun. More about that when we talk about the potential of the full year forecast for 2014, so you want to make sure to come and listen to that too. But moving on here in January, there's a little testing here from Mars towards Jupiter in your 8th house. Mars being in this area of hopes and dreams and wishes, that's the 11th, squaring up with Jupiter here in the 8th. So the 8th house has to do with other people's resources, or the resources you hold jointly with a partner, whether that's a significant other, a spouse, or partnership work that you derive commissions or royalties from. Mars and Jupiter right here, well, it might feel that something could be a little unfair, or something that you might have to stand up to. And if that is the case on the 8th, hang on until you get to the 11th, then you can express it in a way that's very graceful, very humble, very truthful, where you're true to yourself, the situation, and who you're communicating it to, just so it doesn't come off as something that can create a little bit of an edge, which those squares can do with Mars and Jupiter when they're not, cooperating too well. Also on January 11th, you have the Sun and Venus. They're conjunct in the second house of income, values, and self-esteem, and so forth. Even for love on this day, it's a great day to share how you feel and what you feel for another person. And that can really cement things, bring things together here, give you little roots. So it's a wonderful time, January 11th, so put that on your calendar. The same day, Mercury now is moving out of this house of income and money matters, you know, where you've been crunching numbers, moving into the third house. That's going to get you up, out and about and around. So I see you maybe short distance traveling or doing errands to or fro. I see a lot of talking, there's chatting, there's emails, texts, and so forth. Telephone calls are going to be important, and this is just starting you off to what you can expect later on in the month, because January 20th, the Sun is going to also move out of your financial house into this area too. So you're going to be more flexible and out of the mindset of just thinking penny and dimes. Then we have on the 24th here, communication as far as either new directions. I see new goals coming in, you aligning yourself. You could be starting something new on this day here on the 24th and feeling very motivated, both mentally but also physically. So it's like your biorhythms should be up here on this date. And the next day you might feel a little poop just because you expended so much of this energy on the 24th. Now the 29th, unexpected news coming in for you, and that will be between the third house and also the fifth house, so that can have something to do with creative projects for you. And if you're starting up something on the 29th, well, that shouldn't be a bad day for it. It looks like the alignment is there, but it's more a day to download or get in touch with more your genius thoughts, that original creative thought that could actually expand down the road. And the 31st, excuse me, been talking a lot here today. On the 31st, we have Jupiter and Pluto opposing one another. Jupiter is retrograde, and when it goes retrograde, it kind of brings us back to the past, to things that we started or initiated earlier. And in this instance, it was between the 8th house and also the 2nd house. So concepts between your money, how you see money, how you spend money, and the outlook on other people's money and resources go back to August. Something started up then. It initiated a new way of thinking. And now this is going to be highlighted for you. What is your values? What is other people's values? And you've been seesawing back and forth here. What is mine? What is theirs? What is theirs and what is mine? Now, this revisit is going to allow you to put on the map again a way of looking at it perhaps a little bit more objectively this time. Not as forcefully outwards, but really looking at how can I not necessarily have to separate it to necessarily one or the other. How about merging them to one? There is a oneness, a wholeness in this. So it doesn't have to be black or white, but how could you find a midpoint where something is fair and yet at the same time empowering you to have this expansion of greater, I'd like to say, wealth, because Jupiter can represent wealth because it's so abundant, whatever it touches, but it's touching your wealth house, okay? So in your case, yes, we are talking about money and the joint resources, and how can you balance this within, say, perhaps a group when it comes to royalties and commissions. That's what the 8th house is all about. So here we go, end of the month. Mercury has been charting through this area of communication and catching up, and it's had a very short journey just from here at the 11th to 31st. It's only had 20 days in this one sign, and now it's jetting out of the 3rd house, hurrying into the 4th house, which has to do with home and residence, real estate, who you are in your inner core, family, past, your roots, and all of that that goes deeply within. This is where Mercury now is going to be looking at. So real estate, home, and family from February onwards from January 31st. So, Sagittarius, as you can see, a very potent month. We have the full moon on the 16th. This is going to fall into your 8th house of other people's money and values again. It's going to be cruising right there, right by Jupiter, and it's going to be opposing that Pluto. So yes, there's going to be an oomph and a power, and make sure you use it to empower yourself, not to become disempowered, which full moons can do when we feel overwhelmed. But when you're aware of it, you can go in, take charge, and steer it, and let this be a good thing, a very helpful and fruitful thing for you. So go listen to your moon and your rising sign, and listen, Sagittarius, I'll see you in February. Take care now.